This is a message coming from the universe. Whatever you call that power, whatever you call that, entertain it how you will, because that is where it comes from. The truth of what you want in this life is about to come forth. So be open to it. Be ready for it. Understand that the power that you have comes through the external each time that you will it into existence. When you are open to receiving what you are working so hard to get, it will come. When you're trying so hard to work for the things that you know are that which consist of your dream, or maybe the other way around, and it finally comes your way, and if you don't recognize it, it does not do you any good. The focus that we have, the thing that we have that has led us all the way, meandering through this journey that we call life, when it's time to actually receive what it is that you're asking for, that's an art form. You may ask for a long time, but you must be willing to receive for a long time if you want to live your dream, because it becomes a simultaneous activity. Over time, you start to see that which you ask for appear as you continue to ask. You see, asking is a power that we have. And when you can genuinely embrace the power of asking, just as you do receiving, you will see that your life will transform. There is no level of success you cannot attain with this mentality. From this vantage point, there is nothing that is out of your reach. You can surmount anything, any challenge, any objective, any obstacle will look you in the eye, and it shall cower as you hold this mentality. As you hold this frame of mind, we will step further into the abyss of that which we consider the unknown. But let me tell you now, in the infinite realm of the eternal sense of who you really are, there is no unknown. Only the creative process that allows us to be excited with the newness that comes about as we allow it into fruition. When we talk about the truth, when we talk about upstanding citizens, when we talk about the elite of humanity, keep in mind this is just a man-made concept of that which we consider worthy of expression. And when I say worthy of expression, I mean all things. When you look at a pebble on the ground, do you see the grand universe? Do you see the grand picture? Do you understand what I mean by that? And that statement is no more powerful than me saying, I think your shirt looks nice today. When I tell you a simple act of kindness, don't take simplicity as just a shrug of the shoulders. And when I'm talking about an act of kindness, this is any simple act. Do not compare in a way that complexities tend to take the hierarchical up ground, the high ground. There is not going to be that comparison. When you really look at the grand picture of your life and you're receiving what you're asking for, the leadership that you can hold in your heart to help others do the same does not know a difference between complexities and simplicities. And what I mean by that is, you do not have to stare life in the face and try to figure it out. You do not have to understand what is happening in order to know what is happening. Do you understand that? Do you know that? Do you feel that? You see, all of these different adjectives that we have that are man-made premises that hold us at the whim of what we think our experience is, it tells us something. It tells us that there's something that we don't have that we're trying to gain. And I can tell you right now, that is not the way. That is not what the eternal self knows. The eternal self already knows. And it holds so dearly the precious ability of creation. It does not look for another way. It is not worried about that which has not been attained. It already knows the feelings that create. And then the creation is what creates the feelings. And then the feelings are what create the creations. That which has been made is that which I am. And that which I am is that which has been made. And I do not look for anything outside of that, for there is none. There is no thing unless there is, and that is which I come into play. That's how this works. And when it sounds real crazy and we start going to that convolution, we get to that level of really nebulous type thought. We go to the place where it really just, there is no intersections in order to get a grasp or a frame of reference. Good! That's the place where you really make your dreams come true. That is the place of true creation. You do not need to know in the man-made sense, the conventional sense of understanding. You don't have to feel comfortable because comfort has been given to you as a lie of who you are. We have created that lie. So don't go blaming. Don't go pointing the finger. Don't feel like you've been deceived. The lie is something we created so that we could show truth. And truth is no different than lie, as the lie is the truth. Keep in mind that the truth lies within. If you understand the double and triple and quadruple and however many facets, however many entendres that you want there, then you know that what I speak is the truth and the lie if you should so choose. Do you feel the power? Do you know that the power of interpretation is that which you have to make this world what you want? There is nothing else. There is only what you want. Do you see that the feelings that we've got within, there is no such thing as anything but the greatest, the best, the finest, the most luxurious, the ultimate. I'm talking divine. I'm talking every mindful attention that you could give. Every feeling of the heart, the spirit, the upheaving and the boiling, the ultimate feeling of just enjoying this world. That's the truth. Someone that tells you you have to have valleys in order to appreciate the peaks. How you gonna love if you don't know pain? Hardy, har. Let me tell you, that's just a hurdy-gurdy of the same hurdles that people want to use when they're feeling wordy. Okay, you know what I'm saying? The words don't mean much. They're only a way to connect. I'm showing someone that I'm a very wise person by saying I can appreciate that which is not what I want. Only you can decide what is what you want and what you do not want. And let me tell you, you don't have to accept either one or the two. You do not have to have either one in your reality. Do you know why? Because the concept is a polarity in and of itself. And who made the polarity? Who made the opposites? Who made black and white? I did. And if you can say that same thing, then you see the unity of self, the unity of speculation, cognition, intelligence, expression, any other word that you want to use that allows you to see that your being is just another part, yet the whole. And you do not have to decipher between the two. You don't even have to disintegrate the two because there is none if you should choose. Do you see why I come back to this each time? This is the feeling that allows you to know that there is nothing other than that which you choose, and that is the truth, right down to the last detail. Every figment, every fiber, every tiny little speck in this existence, this experience, this thing that you call yourself when you're standing up in the morning and you're believing you need some sort of persistence or position or something in order to get where you want. The X, Y, and Z is merely another coordinate that you've given yourself, but it feels as if it's come from somewhere else. Do you see that there is nowhere else and that there is really no you? This is where selflessness comes from, not to be confused with selfishness. which there is no difference. If you can understand this perspective, then you know that there's no way to take more than what you deserve, and there is no way to leave somebody behind, because there is only this. This moment does not need understanding. This moment does not need acceptance. This moment does not need recollection, and it most certainly does not need anyone's perception. So as you can see, it's not a separation here. And it doesn't have to be unity either. When you recollect either or, what do? You create the other, do you not? Not necessarily, right? Because that comes right back to the same thing that I just said before, that you do not have to have one or the other, or both, or neither. There is only that which you choose. The minute I choose that life is life and nothing else, then boom, there is nothing else but life. And people will feel that. People will feel the enlivening feeling of a cleanliness, of the open, empty void that is full of fullness. And there is nothing but experience and that which we yearn for, so that it can come to fruition. It will become that which we can imagine, because the power of imagination is what's giving us this stream of consciousness in order to allow everything that you can imagine come through fluidly, so you could see that it's always a flow of perfection. There's no way to muck it up unless you should choose that that's possible, because perfection, of course, includes imperfection, and unlimitlessness and infinity would include, what's that? A ceiling that you hold above your head in order not to let the rain in. It's only another ceiling that you can see, so you can feel the infinite part of limitation. If you know what I mean by this, then you can see that it's not circular logic, it's not just wordplay, it's the movement of consciousness, and there's nothing that you could do that could ever muck it up. You could never take more than you deserve. You can't do anything wrong, because the concept of right and wrong is only another man-made conception. I've heard people say this, but at the same time, they didn't say it. I said it. When you know that there is nothing else, you can see right away when those try to take credit for the wisdom, when those try to take credit for the ideologies, the theories, the philosophies, the achievements. You can see already, if I'm aware that it's all mine, then who is going to teach me? It is only I. Therefore, it is not a burden on your shoulders. It is the freedom of expression, the freedom of creation. I know that I can bring the tools through me, which is the me of me, which is all things. And if you can feel that power within and know what it really means, then you will see me. The me that is you, the only me. The me that does not need to recollect either of the two. Now that's the truth about being free, that lies within and without, or neither, if neither shall be and neither need be. Feel me as I fly through you with the beautiful wings of groundedness. Do you see that the noiselessness of my deafening voice can make silence seem such a joy, yet bring the undertones and the auditory way to nowhere? So that you can feel that there is always you, and there is only you, yet you is not to be, unless me can allow the shift that is not necessary, but can be the beautiful christening of any moment that has always been, yet takes on a new essence. That's why some people call me G-O-D, God. You see, this feeling is the only place that those would consider divinity. You see, when it comes down to the purity, what do we do immediately? We separate divine from sin. You see, I'm only going to a religious level right now because you can already know what sin is. Sin is merely the creation of the divine. If you could understand that there is no difference between the two, and there is seriously no lines between. Like I said, there is no recollection unless you should choose. And neither, or either, or both, it does not have to be one way or another, unless it does, because you chose. So now you can see that poetry and even rhyme schemes, even the things that we consider dark, bring the light. It's feelings, it's truthfulness, it's lack thereof, because neither one is separate from the other unless you should allow it to be. You see, this is the feeling that we keep doing. This is the rap, this is the expression, this is the oomph, this is the up and down, this is the dance, this is the maneuverability, this is the stationary apathy that we're using for all those that still believe in astrology. You see what I mean? It's not a key, it's not a road to stardom, but yet you can see what I'm saying when I make it. References hitting metaphorical motions can take the most empathetic and harden. You see, it's not about one way or another, is it? It's not about G-O-D, and it's not about Jesus. It's not about one God, and it's certainly not about one thought, one feeling, and it's not about omitting such a concept either, unless it is. You see, it always allows freedom. This perfection is freedom. I can enslave myself with freedom. I can be so free that I feel like I'm in a prison. I can be so locked up that I can feel like I've got ultimate power. I can hold the key to the lock and choose not to leave the cell. I can not even fathom a cell, and I can create a key. You see the power that we have. You don't even have to look at it in order to have it. That's the beauty. Some wonder why we have a subconscious and conscious mind. As a matter of fact, the subconscious isn't even really proven. Neither is the conscious. If you really break it down, as soon as you look at either or, it's just another creation, right? It's another focal point. We're even seeing it in quantum physics, right? The scientists are saying that which we look at and observe becomes. Well, that which we look at and observe can also unbecome. It can also become not. You see, and it's not a polarity. It's not black and white there. It's not one way or another. It's the unlimited facets of potentiality. That's G-O-D. Unlimited facets of potentiality. Which is totally inclusive and exclusive, because inclusion would include exclusion, of course, of any type of limitations and any attribute that would cancel out another without cancellation, and with it, if it should be. You see, it's always the practice of understanding that which is so mind-boggling. Understand the craziness is where the sanity lies. Understand what I said? The craziness is where the sanity lies. Just like the truth lies within. You see, the minute you feel any glimpse of where you think you're supposed to go, boom, it's already got you on another path. You're already on another plotted coordinate that you never anticipated, because you didn't have to anticipate it, remember? Unless you did, because anticipation could be whatever you wanted it to be in the first place. This is the power, people, and we're never going to stop. We have the power to do what we want, and we don't have to plot. You know, I heard one time, and this is one of the beautiful expressions that has come through this world. The how is the domain of the universe. You see, we can know what we want. We don't have to figure out how. Do you know why? See, all along, man-made premises, the idea of society even, means that we have to understand some type of order in this chaos. You know, we've already discovered that we can do something over and over and over, and it becomes comfortable and gives us the illusion, or maybe not the illusion, maybe the creation, that things are ordered and they make sense. But the minute we want anything else, we're right back at square one. So how does that happen? Okay, if I want to always get more of what I'm doing, if I want to continue my expression, my purpose, my being, my intended idea while I'm here, call me G-O-D, whatever, well then, wouldn't it make sense that I would just be infinite and create? and leave the how up to that other piece of myself, and not even a piece of myself, leave the how up to me. Because really, the only reason people feel the illusion that they can't figure out how is because they're thinking the how is separate from them. Like it's somewhere else. Like it's in these independent little intricacies that don't exist within themselves out in the external world that are doing whatever they want that has nothing to do with them. You see, these are only the feelings that the universe is doing something without you, or that you could do something without the universe. This is silly. This is silly. We already understand that we can do this, but at the same time, is it silly? No. It's in perfect alignment with that which we create. So it only makes sense that it would be happening. And I've covered this. We've all covered this. This is the infinitude of what we want with our attitude and aptitude. And if we continue to go to the destitute, then we may have anything we want when we pursue. As usual. Or maybe it's some type of anomaly. Maybe it's a supernatural occurrence when all of a sudden a miracle comes out of thin air, right? No, not necessarily. It's totally beautiful when we decide. The how is the domain of the universe. Did you know that the universe is the domain of myself? The domain is I. What makes the universe different from that? Well, I don't think that we should be afraid of why we're on this spinning rock. Because if we needed to be afraid, well, I guess we wouldn't have made it happen, would we? Being afraid is merely another creation. See, now we're going to cover the concept of fear. Fear is beautiful, isn't it? Fear is one of the most outstanding expressions of divinity. But it's not any more outstanding than anything else, right? Could it be? Well, it could be whatever we want. Just like anything else. Now that's the outstanding part. When you get 1 billion people in one area that seem to fear something, well, is it any harder to go against that? Yes, it is, if you believe you're going against it, like you have to fight. Like you have to fight this thing. This comes right back to what I said. How? And the separation, if you recollect those things as a reality, and that you're trying to get somewhere else to create a new reality, then what you're doing is you're saying, okay, this is not true, this is not true, this is true, this is true, this is not true. You're like going down through a checklist, trying to decipher between what you want in the universe by omitting things. If you omit things, you're immediately giving them strength because you already agree that they could be fighting, that there could be a disagreement, that there could be some type of opposition, that there is ultimately autonomy when it comes to that attribute of yourself. There is no autonomy in the real eternal sense. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because autonomy would be the recollection of being enslaved. The minute you recollect that you need something, it tells you that the opposite could also be true, right? No. We've already been through this. When you understand something, this is what I love. When I talk to people, this is what happens in this world when this expression comes through. Many of you immediately agree because you've seen it enough, and it's not wrong to agree. I do it too, because it does construct a certain aspect of this expression and this vibration of what we're doing here. Ultimately, if I say to you, well, if somebody in the room, they disagree with me, then that must be reality, right? Like, not everybody's going to agree with me, right? Wrong. It's just as easily wrong as it is right. But how many people in the room would have agreed with that? Everybody knows, right? Everybody knows that not everybody agrees with them. So yeah, this guy's standing on stage talking right now. He's absolutely got a good point. Not everybody's going to agree with him. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen the evidence of that over and over and over in my life. Even my parents, they've taught me that. Maybe I even had an innate sense of that before I got here. I wonder if that has anything to do with genetic memory, or if that has something to do with my eternal purpose here, because the consciousness is still doing this. So obviously I would adopt those ideas so that I could use them to transmute. Well, maybe you didn't go that far, but I know I do. You know why? Because that's what is. And that's how it is. And that's what I really am. There is no you. That's the thing. Some people get scared when you start talking about that. There is no me. What do you mean? It sounds like you're selfish. Sounds like you're some kind of, like, I don't know, Hitler. You're really going off the deep end, man. You're really talking like some crazy stuff, man, because obviously I'm right here and you're right there. There must be two of us, man. And I say, yeah, that's what it appears to be. Yeah, that's what you've been taught. Or that's what you've created. See, I've created this, but it is what I want it to be, right? It's not like I get out of bed and I'm the one that chooses the music in the car. Everybody's going to listen to the music that I want. You see, it's not about that. Nobody's going to disagree with me because I am the ultimate. I am the truth. I am the way. This is what Jesus was really saying, if he even existed. You see, I can choose if he was existed. So why would I say that? Obviously to create controversy. Absolutely. Because you have to understand that it's a choice. It's not about what the stories have told us. Don't you see that there's a reason that nobody alive today can say, yes, Jesus existed. I saw him. My parents knew him. There's a reason for that. There's a reason that it's not clear cut. There's a reason that the story has been handed down without proof. And that will continue to happen. You see, eventually it will be... Eventually, believe it or not, most people wouldn't accept this now, but eventually there's going to be question about whether the Wright brothers really existed. Thomas Edison, did he really exist? You know, there's going to be that question. Do you know why? Because consciousness does not need a concrete evidence in order to continue doing what it's doing. Go throughout your day and tell me that you consciously remember how to move your foot every time you do it. You don't need proof that you can do it anymore. It's the same movement of consciousness that we're talking about here. But when you get on the big level or small level, whichever you decide it is, because you can look at yourself however you want. You're always the ultimate and you're always the minuscule. What do you really want to be? Do you have to be either or? Nope. And does either one exist? Not necessarily, unless you want it to, and then you don't. Bop, bop, bop. That's the sound of the melody that we're talking about here. It's a continuous dance. Don't be afraid of the next step. Don't be afraid of the maneuverability that you're going to use in order to make a new melody. You know what I'm saying? Dang! You know, you would think that this was a regular thing. Well, it is. But talking about it is a brand new concept, right? No, it's not. How could it be brand new? Unless I made it. So therefore it is, if you want it to be. You see, it's freedom, ultimate freedom, means nope. Agreeing with each other is no longer at the top of the priority list. You know why? Because agreement is just a facet. It's just another thing that we thought we needed to keep things humming along. But I don't even have to acknowledge agreement or disagreement. Let's use that second right back there as an example. Was there any type of correction with the speech that happened? You notice I'm being vague right now. I'm not going to articulate it very specifically because those that are listening and know it, they already know what I'm talking about because they already know the perfection that came behind it. It is the hamster and the rolly ball that does not create repetition. Unless it does. You see, there is no such thing unless there is. You can make it whatever you want unless you don't, unless you can't, unless you believe you don't, unless you did anyways because you thought that you didn't, and all of a sudden, boom, now it is. It's always what it isn't and it is unless it isn't because there's only the polarities that can continue with the dance of the verbal excuses that people make for expressing what they express. We don't need any type of rhythm. The rhythm is already provided. I am the rhythm. If you know what that means, then you know that expressing certain words in vernacular is only a dance. It's only the attire that I wear to the ballroom. You can feel me if you decide to not feel. But you can also feel me if you decide. You don't even need to make a decision. I am the decision. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Do you understand the gratitude that comes behind these expressions? I know you do. I know you do because you're here. Of course you do. Now, we're coming down to the last couple seconds here of this speech, and I want to thank every single one of you. I love every single one of you. This is the ultimate feeling. This is the truth. This is the expression that is going to make your life possible, because it already is possible, but the expression is not necessarily an affirmation, but it can be if you want it to be. So stand up, rise up, put your hands together. We're going to make everything we want possible. It's happening now, and we can't stop unless we do, because we don't. So therefore, it's an ultimate choice of freedom and autonomy, and we're making the spontaneity, we're making this vibration, we're making this noise, and it's not anything but perfection. So thank you guys. I love you.